Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducksy Gaming and a new video on the channel. Now this is a video just to show the simple Alch and Go strategy that I've been using for mapping, and it's just to show that it can be profitable with just a few nodes on the tree, super low investment as you literally just need maps and alchemy orbs, and you should end up making between 3 to 4x an hour. Now I'm going to go through what you need to do to run the strategy and how to set your Atlas tree up, but I'll just briefly talk around the strategy itself. So if you can clear a map in around 4 minutes, then this strategy is guaranteed to get you 1 mini boss key and 1 boss key in a 2-hour session, which already adds up to about half an X. So I choose Strand as my map because it's super linear. However, normal monster density is quite poor in this map, so feel free to choose another one if you like. I really like the openness of the map though, so there's not really any lead mechanic that feels bad in it. So if you're someone that likes to run lead mechanics when they come up, this map's going to make sure it's not bricked by being like in a really small corridor. Now, you need a decent character to do it, but nothing great because you're only doing T16 maps. If you do go the Delhi route, the mobs do get pretty tanky towards the end, so you're going to need a decent chunk of DPS if you want to push your splinters up quite a bit. But as long as you can clear the map quickly and dispatch the boss, you can run this method and you should make some easy money. So let's look at the Atlas nodes first. Now, I take a few nodes that aren't needed for this strategy, but I've been trying a few different things to vary it up. So we'll go into the Atlas tree. Really, all I do, I keep all of the map nodes just because I find them handy for getting maps to drop, especially in Strand because the normal monster density is so rubbish. But essentially, you want all of the Essence nodes. These are still really powerful. You definitely still want to use all these nodes. You want to use the Remnant of Corruptions to corrupt any purple monsters that aren't dread, and you can still make a decent side money from essences. They're also really quick, so they're not going to slow down your map clear at all. I'll also take some of the Kirak nodes. I don't go down here because the operative scouting reports aren't really of any interest to me. However, I do like the ones that are comprehensive. They basically add loads and loads of mission options, so you're almost guaranteed to get something that's going to be profitable each time you use one. And Kirak missions in general, I think, are really good. They can add a lot of profit to mapping. You'll get like Conqueror arenas, you'll get Guardian maps, you'll get Synth maps. Also, every time you reset it, his inventory resets and you can get some really decent loot from his inventory. But in terms of the actual mapping strategy, the nodes you really want are these ones here. So Shadow of the Hunger, 50% increased chance to find the Eater World's altar. We'll come onto the altar shortly, but they're really important for the strategy. These are really important too. They have pack size to influence monster packs. This one also works because they don't state they have to be a certain influence. So you want to take these and these, your essence nodes, and then I also take delirium nodes just because it's super profitable. And again, it doesn't slow down your mapping. So if you get a Delhi mirror, say once every 5 or 6 maps, and you can get to the end of the map, you're going to get 60 to 100 splinters realistically. And that's without any extra investment. So in 3 Delhi mirrors, you've got a good chance of getting a simulacrum or close to it. So I would take both these Delhi nodes. You definitely want to take the one here because this is one that gives you a better chance of a mirror. And then I also take these 2. If you struggle and it starts running out too quickly, you can take these extra ones here that make the fog go down a bit slow. In fact, we've got 1 point left, so let's add one of them in. But really, that's all I would recommend for the strategy. And then you're going to have spare points because these are just things that I'm testing out for mapping. So if you add more points, you could then go, I want Expedition to show up more, I want Breach to show up more, whatever you wanted, you can spec more points into it. But for me, the base tree is maps and Kirak missions, Eater Worlds up here, and then these nodes here, and then Delirium and Essences. And then you're free to pick whatever you like. As I say, Kirak missions are really important because you can rack up sort of 8 to 10 Kirak missions in a 2-hour farming session. These obviously have a chance to have maps that allow valuable rewards. They also reset his inventory every time, and he does sell some really good maps. You can get like 3 old Delhi maps for 7 chaos. You can get some synthesis maps sometimes, or Conqueror maps. He sells a ton of good stuff that you can make an instant profit out of. So in terms of the strategy, as I said, it's simple. You alch a ton of maps at the beginning of the session, make sure they're runnable on your character, and then when you run maps, you need to make sure you select the Eater of World influence. And then just look out for altars popping up as these are key to getting good returns. You're looking for anything that adds scarabs currency or arch nemesis currency drops. I'm also collecting reagents to do the mirror image Triamp recipe. I'll link Grimro's video down below. He explains the recipe really well and how to do it. Just be warned, when you do the recipe, the last monster can be really, really hard to kill, especially if you pick a tanky monster type. So if you're an attack-based build, when you go to do just the map where you're going to run the recipe, I'd recommend switching your Pantheons to Gruken, as that stops you getting blinded, because the last monster and the penultimate monster will blind you, and that's what often can cause you issues getting that last monster down. So what I'll do as I'm going along is I'll also look for any of the recipe parts for this recipe. So they are Echoist, Toxic, Soul Conduit, Gargantuan, Sentinel, Steel Infused, Vampiric, and Deadeye. As I said, essences are still 100% worth the money. Dread essences for the bows are still worth decent money. You're also going to drop Remnant of Corruptions fairly regularly. What you want to do here is just corrupt any of the purple essences you come across to try and get the special ones, as again, they're worth money. Even the ones that don't sell are worth some money to us, because what I will do is keep some decent bases in my stash, and I'll just throw these useless essences at them, hoping that every other mod that hits is good. And I have made a couple of items that are worth an X or more by doing this. I'm not saying you're guaranteed to do it, but it's a good way to use essences that otherwise would just sit in your inventory and probably go to standard at the end of the league. So use a dump tab, get in and out of maps, dump your gear in there, and then just get straight back in again. If you can do runs of maps in around 4 minutes, which for a linear map should be easy, then as I said, you can complete an entire 26 map run in 2 hours, which means you're guaranteed the boss keys to sell. And that's kind of it for the strategy. I know a lot of people are running a similar thing, and there are ways to juice it up more, but I just really wanted, for me, an easy method where I don't have to go onto trade and buy scarabs and sextants and all that sort of thing. I just want to alch and go and make some money. Yes, I'm sure there's tons more lucrative methods you can use, but as a brain dead way to farm, 3 to 4x an hour, this has worked pretty well. So if we look at the loot quickly, what I've done is dumped all of the loot that doesn't sell and traded all my essences up and just really kept the ones that are worth money. So in the end, we've left with about 3 to 4x worth of currency or stuff that can sell for currency. Now, I haven't included any value on the maps other than the Conqueror and Guardian maps, because you're not going to sell maps realistically. We ended up with quite a few scarabs, but actually, considering we're running the E2L passives, this is actually not that great a haul. You can easily get a lot more than this if you get a bit better luck with your altars, but it's sort of made up for by the fact we dropped a raw X. As you can see, we had 6 scouting reports drop in about 13 or 14 maps. So that's really good as well. These ones aren't worth any money selling, but they're good for re-rolling your Kiramp missions, just on the off chance you hit something that's worth running for currency. Smattering of contracts, the usual stuff, some small currencies. Again, you've got a chance of dropping invitations. These are worth money. We got 2/3 of a simulacrum, 4 deli orbs, some of the new currencies. I say loads of stuff that's easily sellable, which is a good thing about this strategy. I literally just sold and vended all the stuff I didn't want. Like, there were some div cards that were worth next to nothing. There was rubbish currencies I've just stuck in my stash. I've just kept the stuff that either I can use, as in the maps, or I can sell. And then you've got the options. You might want to use some of these scarabs, or you might want to use the essences, or you might want to sell them. But I've price checked all of this stuff, and it is about 4.5x for this inventory here. But you've got to consider, I was halfway through a rotation for these. So these would not drop on your first hour, which is why I say you want to do a 2-hour session, because you're guaranteed to get these items to drop. And the X is obviously a bit of an anomaly. So all this stuff together is between 4.5 to 5x. So I would say sort of 3.5 to 4x is reasonably what you could expect per hour. If you spread these drops out, the X I'm not going to totally remove, because, it's not like you can't drop them, but I've lowered that value down to about half an X to compensate for the fact that actually we had a bit of a dry run for scarabs. But give it a go. It's really simple. Just take the trinos that I mentioned in the video. This is really just for people who maybe haven't found the farming method yet, or they're really struggling to get some currency going. This is really easy and simple. So I'm going to include the whole run as a separate video. I wasn't particularly optimal. It includes one death where I ran loads of silly map mods and then didn't pay attention to the map, assuming I was immortal, and got shotgunned by the titty monsters. So that's why I think this is a fair representation. I've not done like just 1 hour hardcore, make sure I get in and out of maps within 2 minutes and kind of inflate what the currency is going to be that you're going to get. I wasn't particularly quick. I stopped to do a couple of blight encounters and rituals. You know, I did things that probably weren't super optimal. So I think you can certainly get along the level of the currency I've earned in this video. And that's it for this one. I don't know what the next video is going to be. I might try another build this league. I'm not sure yet. I'm still quite enjoying tinkering with the Lightning Strike build. But I'm sure I'll bring something out within the next week. But as always, thanks for watching. Take care and see you in the next video.